Hello and welcome back to DukascopyTv. Now, when committing yourself to any investment, it is vital to ensure you have the correct documentation. Continuing on with our Glitter, Glamour and Investment series, we'll be talking with Elke Berr on how to read a certificate. Elke, thank you very much for coming back in.
Thank you. Nice to see you again, Monica.
Now, if we look at the certificates, Elke, we're talking about precious stones as this part of our series. They're the equivalent to identification papers, is that right?
Absolutely right. I thought first to talk about the emeralds because this was our last session, and to show you some samples.
Okay.
So this is, for example, the ring I was wearing, and here you can see it's a 4 carat 30 and it's none. You see, so it has no oil.
No oil,
you
no
remember?
Treatment, no
yeah. So, for example, here they talk, of course, it has a number when it was made, and here it's written about no oil. And then have the other one. It's minor. So here you can see there's a little tiny oil in it. And here it's written insignificant. So none and insignificant, of course, is the best. So there's really nearly nothing. And then from minor it goes up to moderate or more, so then it's a different graduation. This means, for example, the oil which is in residues and fissures.
Can we see the jewellery which coordinates?
Yes, of course. So this is the 4 carat 30. This is the 3 carat 05. And this is the 3 carat 04. So you can also see a perfect matching pair. And you can see also, like we saw before, even with the naked eyes, you don't see any inclusions. So it's very rare. And as there are no inclusions, we don't need to put oil.
Okay, so each stone has its own little story, which is portrayed on the certificate. But what particular information can we glean from the certificate?
So this is an example from GIS. For example, first, of course, you find the date. It's very important when is the certificate done. For example, if it's more than 10 years, quite often you redo them because normally you look on a microscope, but we have new instruments like a Ramaro microscope and other things which you use now, which was not 14 years ago. So for example, this is something. Then of course it's saying what it is here, and in this case a ruby, here emerald. Then the weight, also very important factor to know. Then also the dimension, and with the dimension you can see that's really the stone which correspond also on the certificate. You remember on the diamonds, it was more easy, it was a laser inscription very often on it, but also the dimensions. On the colored stones, you don't put any laser inscription. So it's really with the dimension and with the weight and everything, you can identify that the stone is the one. Then the cut, then the shape. For example, here it's oval, here it's cushion. Then the color, here it's just in red or green, but it can be also specified, like royal blue for sapphire, or it can be pigeon blood red, like we saw for the ruby. So it can be specific, right, or vivid if it's a very strong color. And then very important, for example, here, no indication of thermal treatment. We saw before, it can be heated or not. And here, for example, it shows, like we say, the amount of oil which is in the fissures. And then we can, sometimes you have, but it's not obligatory, you can see which mine it's coming from. And for example, here, of course, there can be an appendix, it's called. There can be some more information about the stone or the ring or the object you have in front of you if it's something very rare.
So there's a lot of information.
A lot of information, yeah.
Can get more specific the more you go on. Very interesting. I like the point about the diamonds and the precious stones as well, that they have the laser inscription. Precious stones don't. There you go. But are there, obviously they tell the story of where the stone was analysed, but can specific labs are they better perhaps at analysing specific stones?
For example, yeah, the GIA, it's more well-known, or HRD, which we saw, it's more well-known for diamonds. Of course, they do also colored stones, but they are more well-known for diamonds. And let's say for colored stones, I must say in Europe, it's mostly Gublin, SSF. We are very happy. We have them all in Geneva.
Very handy.
But of course, there's the American Trade Association. There is ACTA. There is in Far East the EGL. So there are other very well-known laboratories which are used for colored stones. If it's important colored stones, sometimes you have 2 or 3 certificates. So that's not unusual, because mistakes can be human. So more certificates you have, more sure it's that the stone is really that what you're pretending. But of course, for very high quality stone, and sometimes lower quality stones, of course, they don't have, or smaller sizes, a certificate, because certification can be quite expensive. For example, I also brought you back the Burma sapphire we saw before. And so here I have the certification for it. So here, for example, you see again, it's done in 2012, the weight is written. Again, no indication of thermal treatment. So if the stone is heated, it would be written nothing here. Okay. If from the heat treatment there's some residues in fissures also or something, it will be specified also. And if something is treated, of course, it must also be mentioned in the certificates. And here it's specialized, the mine, it's Burma.
Ah, so it tells us about the origin as well.
Exactly.
Now, is there, obviously there's so much information that can be sought, but if you're a buyer, what particular information are you really looking in for?
I would say, first of all, look if it's heated or unheated, because it makes a big difference in the value. So if you think that the certificate is corresponding, it's really on this particular. So for example, this is Sri Lanka. I have the earrings here. So this is a bit lighter color, as we saw before. So you know the origin, but you know also that it's not heated. And really the amount of oil in emerald is also very important, or if it's treated. So this is, and for a ruby, I have one here. For example, this is written here, Mozambique.
Mozambique.
And this is also a stone which I bought. Of course, I'm sorry I have no certificates with treatments on site, because I don't buy this kind of stones.
Well, that's nothing to apologise for. But we're glad that we've got the kind of real, the beautiful stones in there, the pure form, that it is really something special. Now, you mentioned there that you obviously want to know whether they're treated. You want to have the confirmation that your stones are as pure as the ones that you have brought with us, that you can explain for us. But in terms of the actual certificate itself, does it detail value at all?
No, it don't detail value. It can give you an indication. Of course, a stone like an emerald, if it's no oil, of course it's more expensive. A stone which is not heated in ruby sapphire, of course, is more expensive than not. But it gives no indications of value. Of course, if it's written, it's a royal blue, you know, it's the best color for a sapphire. It gives you an indication that it must be a very rare stone, but it don't give any evaluation. And sometimes with evaluation, it's very strange, because normally the laboratories don't give any evaluation. Also be attentive of that. For example, you can have evaluation from assurances or from the shop owner, but normally certificates don't give. So if you see a certificate with an evaluation, it's very strange, because these are really gemological laboratory.
Well, Elke, that's a fantastic tip you've given us there. Thank you so much for coming in and sharing it with us once again.
My pleasure.
Well, that's all from Elke and myself for just now. Next time, in our 4th and final part of the series, we'll be bringing everything together and discussing that all-important value. You don't want to miss that. Goodbye for now.